Hi there. Friday 28th of November, day before the Victorian state election. As you know, our campaign now has been going on for 2 years and 7 months, unfortunately, certainly not deliberate, even though the government would have you believe that we've dragged it out for that long. Our negotiations have been going on for 2 years and 3 months, and we thought we would have an agreement back on the 30th of October, but unfortunately AV indicated to us that they couldn't recommend to the government that they could reach an agreement. The government tried to portray that we added additional items to the claims, which was just rubbish. We offered to meet with them over the Melbourne Cup weekend into Melbourne Cup Day up till 6 o'clock, where they went into caretaker mode. Both Ambulance Victoria and the government didn't take up those options of trying to meet with us to negotiate an agreement. Since then, there's been no further discussions or negotiations with either Ambulance Victoria or the government regarding the enterprise agreement. We obviously, and our members during that period of time, have been campaigning against the government because they put paramedics last, and we say that we put the government last when it comes to the election tomorrow. And our members need to be congratulated for the efforts in regard to getting out there, door knocking in marginal seats, handing out at train stations, early hours of the mornings, being out there at pre-polling booths. And we know that it's had a major effect on some of the decision making of voters in this Victorian state election. So you all need to be congratulated for your efforts, and just sticking to the campaign, the writing on the windows of the trucks, the wearing of the t-shirts. I can assure you that whatever happens as an outcome tomorrow, it will be recognised that the campaign by paramedics, even though it was never ever a deliberate election campaign, the government's allowed it to run into the election, not us. They have total control. They are the employer, they are the ones that fund ambulance, and your wages and conditions. They could have put this to rest many, many months ago, and they had plenty of opportunities to do so, and in the end they couldn't do it. So we congratulate you on your efforts. Now, as an outcome of tomorrow, if the Libs are elected, obviously we'll just play it by ear and we will continue to have our battles. We don't know how the EB will be resolved and what sort of actions they'll take against us, but we'll play that one by ear. If there is a change of government, then clearly you know the commitment of the Labor Party and what Daniel Andrews has said. He will send it off to the Fair Work Commission for a work value case. They've committed to the 633, the $3,000 sign-on, no strings attached, no rural relieving, no removal of union facilitation clauses, and they will resolve all the other outstanding issues that were unresolved by the Napthine government and by Ambulance Victoria before the election. If Labor wins, we'd expect that the bans will still remain in place, the wearing of the Code Red t-shirts will still remain in place in the interim, and the messages on the windows of ambulances will change. And we would expect that we will be thanking the Victorian public for their support and voting to fix the ambulance crisis. So it's that theme that we would want you to put on the windows of ambulances if Labor wins the election. Now, we may have a result on Saturday night. If there isn't a result on Saturday night, we'll wait and see when there is a result, and then we'll give you further instructions. We would hope that if Labor wins, there will be contact between them and us next week to certainly put things in place to try and get the enterprise agreement resolved before Christmas, and final, when I say finalised, at least a document and a process signed off before Christmas. And that would put us in place for hopefully wage increases coming sooner than later, the $3,000 sign-on coming sooner than later. Yes, we've got to negotiate around part-timers and casuals in regard to the $3,000. But we would hope that we can nut out a finalisation of the agreement as soon as possible. And then, of course, we would then concentrate into next year on the work value case. As I've said, just hang tight, great effort. Let's wait and see what happens. You're to be commended for your campaign. in regard to it being an industrial campaign, and unfortunately it's ended up being an election campaign towards the end because the government has made it that way. And our only hope is, in regard to trying to move things forward, is that we get a positive result tomorrow night in regard to the commitments that have been made to us. As an outcome, today, the 28th, your CEO finishes up, Greg Sasella, and replaced by a new CEO. So you can see that new CEO, Labor's committed to a new board, potentially a new government, one would hope a new culture in ambulance. Finalising EB, things are starting to look quite nice into the future if it all comes together. And again, that's because of your efforts. Let's hope. You need to be patted on the back, but it's not over. Keep the messages positive after Saturday night, and we'll have more information coming to you next week, depending on what the outcome is and any discussions that we may have in whatever subsequent government it is. Thanks, good luck. Let's wait and see what happens.